Yesterday. Good morning. Yes. So firstly, I want to greet to you. I always feel entire 7 billion human beings, we are same. Mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. And now today's reality, every part of the world, economically, and in many fields, we are actually one community. So now scientists say basic human nature is more compassionate because we are social animal. Any social animal, you see, the closeness feeling towards one's own community, because individual survival entirely depends on the community, isn't it? That's reality. So now, today's world, entire 7 billion human beings seems one community. So I always try to share the view that we all same human being, and we really need a sense of oneness of human being. With too much sort of division, including the religious faith divide. And then is too much self-centered attitude, we. With that, killing each other. Very sad. So now, existing sort of situation on this planet, I think a lot of problem is our own creation. So logically, many problems which we ourselves created. So we also have the ability to reduce these problems on the basis, the concept of oneness. We all, same human brothers, sisters, okay. In that respect, I now, these days, later part of my life, I'm trying to revival of ancient Indian sort of tradition, ahimsa, karuna, these two things. World need these things. And previous century, Mahatma Gandhi ji actually implemented 1,000-year-old India's concept of ahimsa and karuna. So now, in order to show world ahimsa and karuna, firstly, must revival of this country, not through prayer or ritual, but through education. So these days, I'm sort of expressing from kindergarten level. So while we teach children how to take care one's own physical health or hygiene of physical, and meantime we should include hygiene of emotion. That's very important. Very healthy physical, but mentally too much worry, too much anger, no use, isn't it? So now existing our education mainly come from West. So in the West, you see there are there's no tradition of training of our mind. Only pray to God, 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 God. In this country, over 3,000 years, you see the practice of shamatha, practice of vipassana, single-pointed meditation and analytical meditation. Wonderful. So now, within India, through education, now we should start the education about ancient Indian thought. Only this country have the opportunity and ability to combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge. Ancient Indian knowledge brings inner peace, inner strength. And modern education brings, you see, material development. That also necessary. And including science and technology. Okay. So, since we already sort of discussed these things, so your college already, you see, showing, because start some sort of work for that. I very much appreciate. Thank you. Thank you. Now I want to, also I prefer question answer. The mail. So I want to.
Please raise your hands.
Question says, the.
Yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
Good morning.
Let him know which university you're from.
We are from Ladakh.
Okay.
We are from Ladakh, Flooring Dharma. I have a question. How can one generate compassion by understanding the nature of material thing, the empty nature of material thing, the empty nature of reality? How can one generate compassion out of this?
그렇죠. 동번이.
empty nature.
I think generally not much use. You use the word of empty. I think the ultimate nature, empty, but it works. Something reality I can touch, I can use, so empty come later. Now, good thing is the 대로성에 천직이 미시가 잠들었어요. I have sort of serious sort of discussion with scientists nearly 40 years. So some scientists say, since we are social animal, therefore basic human nature is more compassionate. And it is quite true. I said, true. Everybody born from our mother and survived with mother's loving kindness and mother's milk. All 7 billion human beings, life starts that way. So as soon as we're born, we received immense sort of love from our mother. Without that, we can't survive. So therefore, and then some scientists say, constant anger or fear actually eating our immune system. Other hand, more calm mind, very, very useful to sustain our immune system and through that way, healthy body. Now this is not religious sort of explanation. Scientists say. That's, say, I think, you see, the Buddhists, of course, I respect all religion because I totally committed promotion of religious harmony. No matter what different philosophical views, but all religion carry the message of love. So I respect. However, in the way to thinking, way to think, the Buddhism in general, particularly Nalanda tradition, very much emphasis on logic. So the way of logical approach is not belief, not faith, but the question. So I often say telling people that according Nalanda tradition, is even Buddha's own teaching. When we come across Buddha's teaching, the immediate reaction is, why? That's very important. Not say yes, yes, because Buddha taught. No. Why Buddha taught that particular sort of point? And then investigate, find out a reason. So Nalanda tradition, like Nagarjuna, you see, these great master of Nalanda, even some Buddhist teaching, Buddha taught according the particular audiences. So like Nagarjuna, through investigation, and then some Buddha's teaching, we cannot accept literally because it goes against the reason. So therefore, the Nalanda tradition always based on reasoning, investigation. So that tradition now can go with modern science. Science also is not through belief, but investigation, experiment. Okay. And then like, the quantum physics, very similar that of the Nalanda tradition. Nothing exists as appears. There is huge gap, appearances and reality. That's the Chitta Mantras school of thought. Clearly mentioned that. Big differences, appearance and reality. And Madhyamika philosophy also used to make very clear big differences, appearance and reality. So usually, you see, we describe true truth. Dambani, Tanya Gunzo Dambasajida, and Pa Javachini, Iranshin Tonyagar, Mochikshani, Monishikto.
So there's the presentation of two truths.
Dede ni nyago yaman shokade. Golshuai namado.
One is the conventional truth, the everyday kind of existence that we see and experience, and the other one is when you go deeper into the reality or the truth of the things, you actually see that things do not exist the way they appear to you.
Kasa Sanskrit,
Yes. So in Sanskrit, the two truths are called Dvasatya, and which are Samvritti Satya and Paramartha Satya.
Yeah, 되게 그 좋은 가르고 되게. So even quantum physics now make distinction, appearance and reality. So Shunyata, see, when we investigate, now what is this? Color, shape, and different material, different part. So these are the part of the thing. The after sort of kasa chas.
Yes. When you actually dissect the things into the different parts.
I think, for example, I think Aryan Deva, you see mentioned hand, this part of the hand, palm and finger. These all part of the hand. So,
When you actually break the hand down into its different parts, components,
we usually call these are part of the hand. And then all these,
the different components. No.
where is hand?
So apart from that,
No.
where is the hand?
And like human being, beside this body, you are seeing my body and hearing my voice. And then through that way, some extent, you can say Dalai Lama's mind. But then, where is the Dalai Lama? Is it Dalai Lama's body, beside body, voice and thought, where is Dalai Lama? Each of you, also you say, we always feel I. Then investigate, where is I? Sometime when I met some people who are seeking sort of blessing, one day, one lady, she told me a lot of sort of uncomfortable worry, you know? So she wants some blessing. Then I asked her, where is I? She mentioned somewhere here. And then I asked, what kind of shape? Square or round? So like that, when we automatically feel I, where is I? We cannot sort of pinpoint. Just a combination of this body and mind. And then we merely designated self or being or I. So things without investigation,
Yes. So when you don't do any kind of a deeper analysis or into the things, just what you see around yourself is called conventional existence. Yes. So in one of the Nalanda masters, Chandrakirti, has said in his Madhyamaka Avatara, by giving the analogy of Dumbotsi.
Chandrakirti,
So Master Chandrakirti in Madhyamaka Avatara, after doing some kind of analysis into what a vase or a pot is and so forth, then he comes to say, conclude by saying, when you actually, with regard to a chariot, if you actually analyze the chariot itself through the sevenfold reasoning, you will not find anything that you can pinpoint as being the chariot as such. But then, while you cannot find the chariot itself through analysis like that, you can still talk about and have a chariot, which is to say that the chariot exists conventionally. So only by way of convention, worldly conventions, things can be said to exist.
Now some student about quantum physics in some Chinese university, some student. See, they felt after quantum physics sort of, because of the investigation, then there is nothing absolute there. So that helped to reduce grasping something 그 아택 즘버지.
So it helps to reduce your, strong kind of grasping at things, as if there is something objectively out there.
So that's Nagarjuna's the main purpose of shunyata, or nothing exists independently. You see, that reduce chimi jig namdo jati nyongzhuwa.
So it helps to reduce your strong kind of exaggerated outlook on things.
가래서는 차당 처배 녀모디디 아니 피기 아택인 즘버디 실샤니 아니 차당 내용도.
Yes. So why this is so is because when you actually have attachment or anger at things, why this happens is because our perception is based on some kind of independent existence in things, as if it's from the own side.
This is not just a theory. You see, for example, myself, now over 70 years, thinking about shunyata is really much effect to my destructive emotion. Now, next question.
My name is Utpala. I am from Arunachal Pradesh. It's like northeast part of India.
Louder, louder.
My name is Utpala. I am from Arunachal Pradesh. So Arunachal Pradesh is in the northeast part of India. So I wanted to ask, it's more of a community question. So I belong to a Chakma community, which is still half refugee, I would say, in India. So we have stayed in India for 40 years, but only we got to vote partially, like half of the population got to vote. So we have no social entitlement as such. So for that, our community has been going out for doing menial jobs in the metropolitan cities. So what message would you like to give to the youths and the community so that we also can live like other human beings? So that's my question.
Karsa.
Thank you.
Around Arunachal, and the Chakma Miriki is. Chakma Miriki, so no ship just the Arunachal David, the Tandoya Kozu Mangochil, because of top down Chasan Yomars, Miriki, say top down Shoraka, Kashili Ryo, Chegal Ryo, the Sido. The Inditachi Kuranzo, Lega Raya, Togu Tandala, get a chega at the Valapazo. Kasor chin chin and dogo zegor is the Indita Kurans, me Danjeg, the top down Raya, the Jeg Tola, Contes Garukar Nayanas, Kuranzo. No.
Kare. I think basically India, most populated democratic country, over a billion human population, and quite peaceful. Recent election, I think, demonstrated the huge population. Naturally, some problems there, but overall, quite peaceful. So I think the future of India, I feel, great. And then, recently, at UN, Indian Prime Minister mentioned India, land of Buddha. So whether, you see, accept Buddhist faith or not, many ideas mentioned in Buddhist text, these I think we should take as an academic subject. For example, psychology and quantum physics, philosophical field, quantum physics, and then pramana, marve, the logic, reasoning. So these we should consider the subject of academic. So, and then also this country, it's 1,000 years, the concept of secular, really wise, very good. So, believe religion, that's personal business. So, but you can use certain sort of also the subject more detailed explanation in some religious text, and we should take as a separately academic subject like that. So then India, I think overall, I think compare neighboring state, this country, I think comparatively much more stable. So a small problem, so long human being, there, some problem always there. As a Buddhist, I'm Buddhist, say, Buddha's own time, a lot of problems. So that's understandable. But overall, I think this country, democratic country, democracy, and religion is concerned, pluralism, marbe, pluralism. I think India, all major world religious traditions live together. Now, our near, because of the neighbor, Afghanistan, and these Middle East, even same Muslim, the name of Shia and Sunni killing each other. Unthinkable. Now, this country, I think 3,000 years is the Sangha philosophy. Then from that, many different sort of sect or tradition, Hindus, and then Jains, then Buddhism, then later Sikhism. All these religions come. And beside homegrown religion, Judaism, Christian, Muslim, and in Bombay, Zoroastrian, very small community, less than 100,000, very peaceful, no fear. Bombay, big city, millions of Hindus, Christians, Muslims, but handful,
Parsis.
or Parsi, very peaceful. So that's one example of India. So I think India is the only country where all these religions over 1,000 years remain together, basically mutual respect, and in some cases mutual learning. So that's, I think, the one, I think, greatness of India. So I think when you find some complaint, then look Pakistan or Bangladesh or in Syria and this area, and then you get this sort of feeling, oh, compare that, we are much peaceful. Okay, next question.
Any questions from the common college students? Any questions? Anyone? Come.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tenzi Belgi, and I'm from Ladakh. My question for today is since every one of us know that the feeling of jealousy, hatred, possessiveness, everyone is every feeling is bad, so we shouldn't do it. But somehow, these feelings are uncertain. It comes naturally. If I see someone and naturally, if I say yeah, she's beautiful, this is a kind of a jealousy. So even though we know that these all feelings are very bad, so how am I supposed to practice that? Even though I know it's bad, I shouldn't do that, but still, somehow these feelings come naturally. So how should I practice that?
These different emotions are part of our mind, part of our life. And I think jealousy, sometimes useful. Jealousy, you see, brings more sort of enthusiasm. I want to do more. Without jealousy, you just feel okay, like that. But with jealousy, my neighbor have such things. I must do. I must work hard. Good. And jealousy or sense of competition, there, you see, some, the sense of competition, jealousy, and actually harming other. That's negative side. But simply, the sense of competition, I must, reach first or top, right? And a little bit of sort of jealousy, or looking your neighbor, or they more success, I must work hard. Good, no problem. I think in debate court, sure,
In a debate courtyard in monastery.
Sometimes a little jealousy and a sense of competition. That, you see, brings more enthusiasm, more hard work. So, no problem. Next question.
Yeah, it's working. It's working.
I'm Kile, I'm from Bhutan, so I'm very happy to be here. So my question is, I didn't see, Buddhism, I didn't see there, in Buddhism, I didn't see that much fighting each other. So some religions, some people fighting due to religion. So what is differences between Buddhism and other religions? My question is.
I think on this planet, over 1,000 years, you see, among the religion, one theistic religion, one non-theistic religion. Theistic, you see, like Muslim, many Hindus and Christian believe Creator. That's theistic religion. The non-theistic religion, one part of Sangha, no Creator. And then Jainism, no Creator. Buddhism, no Creator, but rather self-creation. So basically these two. Then within that, among the Hindus, there are different sort of sect, or I don't know. Jain is in the sect Yorbe. Among the Jainism, also you see there are some sort of minor then certainly among Buddhist tradition, Buddha's first Dharma teaching at Sarnath, that publicly sort of recorded, and the language mainly Pali language. So Tripitaka, and you see practice of Lavasunkhare.
3 trainings.
Shila, Shamatha, Vipassana. That's common to all Buddhists, Thailand, Burma, Sri Lanka, and Cambodia, and of course China, Korea, Vietnam, Tibet, Mongolia, Korea. That's basic Buddhist teaching. Then second Buddhist teaching at Rajagiri. Then mainly, I think, recorded in Sanskrit, like Panchaparamita Sutra. So now that is the mainly, you see, that teaching carried by Nalanda tradition, Nalanda institution. So that the Pali tradition, one time I met some group of Thai scholars, some monk, some lay scholars I met in Delhi. So we discussed about Four Noble Truths and 16 kasa.
16 aspects of the Four Noble Truths.
And then Changsha Sudhu.
And then 37 factors or aids to enlightenment.
These are common. So we discuss. These are common. Then I asked them, you carry these sort of concept mainly on the basis of Buddha's word? Then they say yes, Buddha's quotation. Then immediately I thought, in Nalanda Master, now one example, the Dharmakirti Chara, Dharmakirti and Dignac, great logician. You see, they explain all these points through reasoning. So, Nalanda tradition is very much emphasis logical approach, not faith. Buddha himself, you see, expressed to us, oh my follower, monks, scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. So, Nalanda Master, they should investigate Buddha's own word and then make some distinction. This Buddha's word, we cannot accept it literally, like that. So, then third Dharma wheel. Second Dharma wheel mainly explain about Shunyata. Then third Dharma wheel, you see, more explanation about mind, which understanding Shunyata. So that leads Tantric teaching. Tantric teaching, you see, so there is method or sort of concept distinction, grosser level of mind, subtle level of mind, including some practice during dream time. So utilize more subtle level human mind. The most subtle level of consciousness is at the time of faint. And then finally at the time of death, brain death. So heart beating dead, heart beating stop. Then blood circulation sort of cease. So within short period, brain dead. But still consciousness, subtle level consciousness still there. So indication, some people, so after death, clinically dead, but still body remain very fresh. Recently, one monk just here, a few days after death, his body remained very fresh. Like that. And my own teacher, senior teacher, 13 days remain that state. And then some practitioner, the Kasa Nangadu, Kandeng Lamat Kasa Chusam, Baksalia. Kasa. Pararamchi. One practitioner, he remained in that mental state, I think 21 days. like that. So these, I'll say, we, the scientists, now, not yet is the explanation, but we say the brain dead, then subtle mind still there, then some kind of meditation on that level, and body remain fresh. Then 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like that. 추술음식 그저래. 가. Another one in South India. 3 weeks, his body remained very fresh, like that. So we, these are the reason. You see, we make distinction, grosser level, more subtle, most in a subtle level. That usually we call clear light. When time, this subtle mind depart from this body, then now these people is who remain on that subtle level, mind, body remain fresh. And even you see, remain like this. And then the subtle level depart from this body. Then some liquid come and body remain like that. So therefore, there is some the indication, the different level of consciousness. And then also there are people who remember about past life. So that obviously this brain, no connection with past life. The mind which depend on this brain, no connection. The subtle level of consciousness, no continuation. According to Hindu, whether you call Atma or not, you see that subtle level, no beginning, no end, go like that. That's the basis of rebirth. Okay. Yes, next question.
Hello.
Yes, please.
You
ask a question.
Okay.
Kangri rawa ko shingam so penda dewa malu jungwe ne chere sewa tenzi gasoi shabeside pharto tengyuji ani taringi thyo dikhai na ngazu tholo bu mangbu jigela thangwingela lobta theni ta tholo bla dudu mixe gi rawa ngala mewa jig rawa ra ani odi rawa la tene ani bu mangbu jigta
I think maybe better English. So that's for people, I think. May I understand? English, difficult.
No, it's fine, sir.
Then Hindi.
I'll speak in English. Many of us are college students. So when we pass out from school and we join college, we have some more degree of freedom in college. We don't have to go to certain rules and regulations. So with this degree of new freedom, many students they get wasted due to indiscipline and inability to follow your own guts. So my question is how to get yourself in the right discipline when you have more freedom in colleges.
The total value the wrong shoot the unborn Susu Tim came out of the source. Jelam in the Yawish Chemato Chola or did the Susu Casarandin Ranson Chies or Junior Candice Choy and Association.
You see, self-discipline. That's important. That not out of order, but use human intelligence. If I do this, long run, what benefit to me? you see, like myself, when I was young, I'm a very, very lazy student. So gradually I realized that laziness is really, one drawback. We must study more seriously. So that use intelligence. So human intelligence, human brain, we have something very special. This brain have the ability to analyze long-term consequences. So use your intelligence. That brings self-discipline. Self-discipline, or sometimes it's just religious belief. That's something different. But generally, discipline, I should do this, I should not do this, because long run, this will spoil my life. Like that. So think more. Long-term interest. So human intelligence, I think, fully utilized, not short-sighted. Emotion, something short-sighted. So the intelligence brings long-term interest. So analyze. And also you can seek advice from trusted sort of friend, like that. Okay. Next question. Kodi. Okay.
So, I'm Teshvinso and I'm from Bhutan. Today I felt extremely honored and happy and fortunate enough to receive these enlightened words of wisdom and talks from Your Holiness. Thank you, Rinpoche. Please kindly allow me to ask 2 questions. My first question is, how is spiritualism and secularism similar, and how is spiritualism different from religion? And in that same note, how can a person be spiritual but not religious? That's my first question. My second question is on theistic and atheistic traditions, and on how Buddhism is atheist and its different approach. But it was already answered, and thank you to the Honorable Monk. In that similar question, I would like to ask is, Rinpoche, please can you tell us some few points on, since most of us here are Buddhist, please can you tell us what makes us Buddhist and what makes us not a Buddhist? Thank you.
Karsa, first part, Karsa.
Secularism, spiritual research. Spiritualism.
The exact meaning of this English word, I don't know. But usually it seems, you see, some people used to say differences, spiritual and religion. So spiritual seems to say something related with moral ethics, or self-discipline, related with mind or these things, without any belief. So religion, certain belief, certain faith, generally like that. So in any way, now today, every human being on this planet, born through mother, and basic human nature, compassionate, there. But existing our education system, not much talk about this inner value. I usually call modern education. Modern education comes from West, mainly Europe. So, you see, they have no tradition of how to tackle our emotion, just a faith. So they, beside religion, they have faith, and then when industrialization in Europe, then we need knowledge about mathematics and eventually science on these things. So separate education institution started. So newly developed separate institution, or then their main sort of interest is material thing. Religion, the monastery, nunnery, they carry. So in the past, in ancient time, education, real education center is this monastery, nunnery. So eventually, more sort of material development, then separate school or education institution started. Then their main responsibility is brain, not heart. So regarding heart, religion, take care. So that's the start of modern education. Now eventually, now the modern education very much oriented about material value, not talking about inner value. So now today, a lot of human problem is lack of moral principle. So brain education, I'll say, very much combined with negative emotion, anger, jealousy, and ultimately selfish, extreme self-centered attitude. So now here we really need, whether believe God or not, whether believe next life or not, we are social animal. We really need sense of concern of others' well-being. All major religious tradition created by human being. So all religion carry the message, the human's good quality, that's a human love, loving kindness. So all religion, you see, carry the message of loving kindness. And for that, use different philosophies. Some say there is God. Then what kind of God? Infinite love. So we all children of that Father, same Father. So 7 billion human beings, or strictly speaking, about because of the creation of God, then we all, brothers, sisters, come from one Father, that's God. So, with that concept, seriously if you're thinking, then impossible to kill each other. But then, so Western world supposed to believe God creator, but First World War, Second World War, too many killing. So that is big contradiction. Believe God, one Father, and that Father, infinite love. But then, God's children, among ourselves, killing each other. So now, kasanda ku chut karago. So spiritual.
Spiritualism. Religion.
So now, I make the distinction. Religion is personal business. Whether believe religion or not, up to individual. And what choose, what kind of religion, different religion, this religion, that religion, that's individual personal business. Now, since we are human being, since we are part of humanity, so we should take care about basic human value. That is human compassion, a sense of community, taking care about community. So now today we should develop a sense of concern of entire human being. We are part of human community. We should think about entire 7 billion human beings. Okay. My number one commitment, I consider I am just a human being. So try to share with other people. Basic human value is human compassion on the basis of a sense of community and sense of oneness of entire 7 billion human beings. Okay. Then religion, private business. Next question? Yes?
No, what could this
Ka.
To
To second part.
before
For Buddhist, I usually used to telling, now we are 21st century. We Buddhist should be 21st century Buddhist. That means some knowledge about Buddha Dharma, and through that knowledge, faith towards Buddha. That's 21st century Buddhist. In the past, there's many Tibetan, many Chinese, and some other countries also. They themselves call Buddhist, but do not know what is the real teaching of Buddha. It's just faith. Then that's not 21st century Buddhist. One important text,
Master Haribhadra,
Purjing.
he wrote commentaries on Abhisamaya Alankara and also on the Prajnaparamita Perfection of Wisdom Sutras. So in one of his commentaries, which is called popularly called Sput Art, he actually makes distinction between the two different types of followers. One following on reason, who are called intelligent followers, and the others are called those following on faith.
So now we should be the kasore.
So we, as Buddhists today, should actually follow the former, way of following Buddhism, which is in the intelligent, how it's followed by intelligent people.
Myself, I do not believe world flat in the center, Mount Meru, and sun and moon go like that. I don't believe. The Bosuband, the younger brother of Arya Asanga, mentioned that. Then I usually, when I come across such subject come, I, with my respect, sorry, I don't believe. So the Tongmunjur catching. 꼭juk 남샤샤샤디디 간다 타르도 윤드 제바 무슨 또 그래서 손대가 통유 아주 지나치 말아.
Yes. So what is important for us is to be able to accept the empirical reality. Because when we talk about logic, inference, and all that, finally what we get back at is this our direct experience of things.
Frankly speaking, in the past, many Buddhist country, also is the Christian country, Muslim country, I think similar, just a faith, without much investigation. So now we are 21st century. So Buddhism, particularly Nalanda tradition, the subject which can investigate infinitely. Now today, Nalanda tradition can go side by side with modern science. Some Chinese Buddhists, they describe Buddhism is very much sort of like science of mind. True. So we study, and with through study, with this fuller knowledge, then develop faith. Is the very sound. Just as my mother told that, and like that, and without much sort of also the understanding, the reason, then that's superficial and sometimes blind faith. We must then, I think, wasted our human brain. So we call analytical meditation is very important. The Buddha Dharma, Buddhist philosophy itself. Now, kasorite, kanda chisam ki chaba chanaya, ko ngeba chichi cheshil draji doa.
Yes. With regard to Buddhism, the more you delve into it and try to analyze the teachings, the greater your conviction in the truth of the teaching will be.
Like that. And kajasa. Next question.
My name is Kinjang Tile from Bhutan. So before I approach my questions, I pray for your long life and good health for the sentient beings, Your Holiness. My question is, as a Buddhist, I have lots of debate with the Muslims and then the Christian people. So what they said is that what they have the intention is that once we follow the Buddhism, so it is we are not consuming meat is against the religion. But what I have seen is that in the world, all Buddhists, they consume the meat a lot. And then we have a debate that the Muslim people, what they said is that if there is no buyer, there is no killer. So since the Buddhists are eating the meat, the Muslims were used to kill that animals. So what I feel is that what is the reason behind that we Buddhists, actually it is against the religion. So what is the reason behind we Buddhists consumes lots of meat? So that's the question.
Yes, sir. Huh? Actually, the Buddhist monk, no personal kitchen. Baking bowl, carry baking bowl, and go. And then one family, which non-vegetarian, they give non-vegetarian food. You should accept. And then those who family strict vegetarian, they give food. You have no right to demand, I want this and that. See, Buddha, no kitchen. And all these great masters, you see, they carry a baking bowl like that. And then in Buddhist sort of text, some text, you see, certain sort of the or kasur shukti. Chaval shoma in kasa, then duetsi shor kasa. Ka ho. Cheno kanda.
Namdung.
Oh. But Vinaya Sutra, there is some distinction. Certain meat prohibited. So certain meat, okay. So in any way, you should not eat meat out of your demand. Meat available, then okay. And then some text, you see, strictly emphasis, we should be vegetarian, like that. So, I think many Chinese Buddhists and Vietnamese Buddhists, very strict vegetarian. Tibet, I think the geographical sort of situation, and northern part of Tibet is no vegetation, no fruit, So, and because that circumstances, you see, we not very much emphasis vegetarian. Then, after we came to India, the plenty of vegetable, fruit. Therefore, all those big monastic institutions, their common kitchen, now, I think at least 20 years, you see, we strictly, using vegetarian food, no longer any non-vegetarian food. And similarly, some institution, including some school, their common kitchen, not serving non-vegetarian food, like that. Then my own case, 1964, I decided to become vegetarian. So then, according to my friend, I took a lot of nuts. So then I remained vegetarian, as a vegetarian, around 20 months. Then I developed problem, the gallbladder problem. Then whole my body become yellow. So sometimes I jokingly telling, at that time I truly become living Buddha. So whole body yellow, not through spiritual practice, but through illness, bodily speaking, I become living Buddha. So then, I think a few weeks, very serious. And then, according to allopathic medicine and Tibetan medicine, they advise me better now return the previous my diet. But then I take meat, including my own kitchen, and many serving vegetarian food like that. And I, because of that, so occasionally take a non-vegetarian food. Like that. So now it is really encouraging in Europe and I think America also. Now more and more people now showing interest about vegetarianism. This country, India, I think the vegetarian food, wonderful, very good. In Bhutan, I don't think much of vegetarian food. I think mainly is samba.
Nowadays we have maximum vegetarian.
Your survey. Wonderful. So it is really, I think when we see beef farm and fish, people no feeling about fish, their life, limitless fish. And then beef farm. The environment Kasota issue also using beef farm, very harmful, like that. So it is useful to promote vegetarianism. Very, very good, very important. Okay. Next question.
Good morning, His Holiness. Good morning, everyone. I'm Chama from Lovely Professional University. So my question is regarding these three things, tradition, modern science, and modern education. So we see as modern science and modern education advances, tradition is lagging behind. And in this 21st century that we're living in as youths, millennials, we find ourselves juggling we find ourselves juggling between being traditional or keeping traditional values and living in the modern education, living in the modern science, trying to balance between the two. And then we fail to do these things, hence leaving the traditional ways to our old folks, and we're not practicing them. So my question is, what can you advise us, and what can you do? What can we do to help ourselves preserve our traditional values? And as education advances and modern science advances, how can we make sure that also tradition should advance along, and how can we preserve it for our next generation? Thank you.
망부치 다 생리당 신유 타게 지위치 도에서 망부치 다 이제 파샤 그냥 누나 좋아디다 가서 로종 신유 토게 망부치 때 초칭네 몸에 룩스 망부치 진이 되나야 대디버로 데스지 마당도 아니 인디다 좋아디 먼저 중앙에 리쇼도 양사
basically different culture of different people, different community. You see, the culture is, I think, through some kind of evolution, evolution way. So it is suitable according to the environment, the particular area. But then also, traditional cultural heritage. Now, for example, in India, a Buddhist community, there is no tradition of reincarnation or Lama institution. It developed in Tibet. I think some connection with feudal system. So that now today, world, I think more democratic principle, country owned by people, not individual. So therefore, like my own institution, Dalai Lama institution, I felt there's some connection, feudal system. So, as early as 1969, one of my official statement, I mentioned this very institution of Dalai Lama should continue or not up to concerned people, Tibetan people. So not necessary to keep this as our tradition. No. For example, as far as Buddhist is concerned, no Buddha's institution, no Nagarjuna's institution. This institution, I feel, very much related with feudal system. So, in Tibetan history, some lamas really wonderful, but some lamas disgrace. I think the Chusan Mushmarwe, Chusan Lama, Dugunzi should Namjun Rashid took this, Kome Shamji should Sabatin Georges.
So this master Chuzan Rinpoche has said that when someone is, recognized as a reincarnation of some high lama of his predecessor, it seemed that there was some wisdom in it in recognizing the reincarnation. But when this reincarnation, the so-called reincarnation, actually, proves to be a disgrace, then.
I really feel very sad. No, I feel sad from the depth of my heart.
So there are cases now, frankly speaking. The individual Lama utilize with the name of reincarnation, but never pay much attention for study and practice. So these Lama disgrace Buddha Dharma. So I feel that we should return original Indian tradition, no reincarnation, no Lama's institution. So certain tradition is a tradition, but very much related with feudal system and old thinking, that gone. We should be, as I mentioned earlier, we should be 21st century Buddhist, not Orthodox way. Okay. Next question. Because of media, I think a few questions from media side. Yes, one. Oh.
मैं अपना क्वेश्चन हिंदी में पूछूंगी। तो मैंने आपका मूवी देखा है, कुंदन मूवी। उस मूवी में मैंने देखा कि आपको इंडिया में इसलिए आना पड़ा क्योंकि उस टाइम पे चाइनीज़ आर्मी के इन्वेजन की वजह से, कुछ सर्कमस्टेंसेस की वजह से आपको इंडिया में आना पड़ा, जस्ट फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ योर ओन पीपल जो तिब्बत में हैं। तो अभी आप इतना वर्ल्ड फेमस हो गए हो, अभी आपको सभी जानते हैं सब कुछ, उसके बाद भी आपको अपना वहाँ का तिब्बत का गवर्नमेंट एंड एग्जाइल यहाँ से कंट्रोल करना पड़ रहा है। तो उसके लिए आप क्या फील करते हो? मतलब जब आप आए थे तब भी आपको यही, मतलब आप इसी चीज़ के लिए इंडिया में आए थे ना, ताकि आपकी तिब्बत ठीक रहे बोल के। तो अभी भी सब कुछ वैसा ही है, तो उसके लिए आप क्या फील करते हो इतना फेमस होने के बाद भी? मतलब इट्स बीन 68 years you are living here, but still you are controlling your government and exile of Tibet from here. So what are you feeling for that?
Kharsa. Ka. Ka. There, huh? Many Tibetan, you see, they express to me, although they are very, very eager, my return. But at the same time, they much appreciate Dalai Lama remain in a free country. So Dalai Lama can do more with freedom. So that's quite logical. So my physical in India, but my mind often go to Tibet. I always remember these 6 million Tibetan people, they trust me. Their hope is to put a lot of hope put on me. So I have moral responsibility. But in order to help, now Tibet case, my main concern is Tibetan knowledge, ancient Indian knowledge, Nalanda knowledge, you due to negligence, you see nothing now. Nalanda, some pigeons flying here and there. So the real knowledge of Nalanda tradition we kept since 8th century. The Nalanda master, Chandarakshita, invited to Tibet. He introduced Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition. The unique thing about the Nalanda tradition is extensively used logic, not just a faith. The Chandarakshita himself, great logician and a philosopher. So his writing we still study, or one of the texts are study, like that. So therefore, my main concern is preservation of these ancient Tibetan knowledge which come from Nalanda. It's really worthwhile. I think we Tibetan knowledge, I think, including myself, I think we really serve something, promotion of Buddha Dharma. Therefore, now these knowledge, ancient Indian Nalanda knowledge, I think they're very useful to humanity as I mentioned earlier, as an academic subject, not a religious subject, about mind, about how to transform our emotion, these things. So many scientists are also now showing interest, and many scholars in the West, traditionally non-Buddhist country, but number of people really showing interest about Buddha Dharma. So, and then in order to explain or study, explanation, Tibetan language is the best language to explain these sophisticated Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist logic and Buddhist psychology, these things. Because before Buddhism came, Tibetan language is very primitive Marbe. Oh, then 8th century, Shanta Rakshita invited to Tibet when he asked Tibetan emperor, Tibetan king, since you have your own language, so these important texts should translate into Tibetan. So then each new word come from Sanskrit mainly, and Pali also. Then new words develop. So now today, Tibetan language is the most closest language with Sanskrit. So therefore, now Tibetan language is, I found, best language to explain these sophisticated Buddhist philosophy, psychology, logic, these things. So I really carry also to preserve ancient Tibetan knowledge and including Tibetan language. Because inside Tibet, some hardliner Chinese, they start, they sometimes they really control, study Tibetan language. And the big monastery, traditionally big monastery, now few hundred students, but even that, you see some Chinese introduce political study like that. So a lot of damage. My main concern is, you see, firstly, Tibetan language should keep, and inside Tibet should have freedom to keep this knowledge. That language, and then knowledge these things. So, and then environment, Tibetan or high altitude, cold climate. So some Indian ecologists, they told me there's such sort of condition, high altitude, cold climate, the once ecology damage, the nature revival take longer time. So therefore, we should pay more attention about preservation of ecology in Tibet. Because you see, sometimes the Chinese, some individual Chinese businessmen also, you see, exploiting Tibetan nature resources. So lot of area deforestation. So sometimes Chinese leaders also may develop some notice because of a lot of flood, including mainland China. So they give some or the previous one, the Chinese Prime Minister Zhou Rongxin, he gives some order to some of these area which Brahmaputra come. So deforestation must stop. So I take serious concern about they take care about ecology in Tibet. Then mainly Tibetan culture and Tibetan language. Sometimes I jokingly used to telling my Indian friend, and 1,000 years ago, you see, you Indian, we consider our guru. So we are Chela. I usually say telling, we are not only just a Chela, but a reliable Chela. So all this knowledge, ancient Indian sort of knowledge, we, over 1,000 years, we kept this knowledge. So that prove we are reliable Chela. And then also you say, sometimes I sort of teasing my Indian friend. Traditionally, you are our guru, we are chela. Now seems opposite. Ancient Indian chela. Now, no one who really, you see, explaining these things. So, out of choice, the chela become guru. So, next question. Yes.
Sir.
Yes.
मेरा आपके स्वस्थ जीवन और दीर्घायु के लिए पहले प्रार्थना है और मेरा प्रश्न है आपसे भावनाओं को नियंत्रित करने के लिए
थैंक यू
हमें एकाग्रता की आवश्यकता है और एकाग्रता के लिए ध्यान साधना या पूजा पद्धति अपनानी चाहिए और कौन सी पद्धति बेहतर है और क्यों है इसके बारे में बताएं
고물루주기 맞아 수시 고물루주기 아니 레다 녀몽 세베 타르스 레다 녀몽 녀부때니 파빵인도잖아 아니 타버터버리스 다디 레디 녀몽광경 스보 코 편지기 레디 아니 녀몽경기와레스 다진데기 녀몽티 아니 취미식 남도래 용기와레스 취미이지게 남도디 댄징이 트라발이 중요해스. 댄지 인도다 댄징이 트라발을 냠부때니 슉충을 당토나 애니 취미이지게 남도디 용조레스. 대라데는 차단 용조레서 디식도.
नागार्जुन की शास्त्रों में जो कलेशों की चित्तवृत्ति हमारा मानसिक में क्यों आता है वो इसलिए आते हैं कि हमारा मानसिक में अनेक प्रपंच विकल्प उत्पन्न होता है और प्रपंच विकल्प उत्पन्न जिसमें अधिकांशतः असत्यता के ऊपर आधारित ही रहते हैं वह कहाँ से प्रारंभ होता है वो प्रारंभ होता है आपकी अविद्या से अविद्या माने जो वस्तु अपने स्वाधीनता से स्थिति नहीं है जिसको हम एक स्वाधीनता की स्थिति को सत्य की स्थिति को मान रहे हैं वो हमारा अविद्या है अविद्या को नष्ट करेंगे तो आपकी विकल्प नष्ट होगा विकल्प नष्ट होगा तो आपके सारे समस्त कलुषित चित्तवृत्तियों की समाप्त होंगे वहीं एकमात्र उनसे बंधन से मुक्त होने के साधन हैं तो इसलिए ये मानसिक अभ्यास के माध्यम से होगा उसके अतिरिक्त और कोई दूसरा जाप या तप की उपासना से संभव नहीं है
So Master Nagarjuna in his Mula Madhyamaka Karika has said that with the elimination or through the elimination of one's karma and delusions, there is liberation. And karma and delusions, of course, they arise from this exaggerated outlook on things, which in turn is rooted in some kind of a perception of things having an independent existence. And so when you're able to actually overcome this exaggerated outlook, for which you need to also overcome the perception of things having some kind of independent existence. I mean, when you're able to eliminate this, then the exaggerated outlook will stop, and then that will in turn lead to the cessation of karma and delusions. And so we need to actually understand the reality of things in order to be able to overcome the delusions, attachment, anger, and so forth.
I think also the important thing is that all negative emotion, such as anger, is very much based on appearances. So the appearance from Buddhist sort of terminology, appears something independent, objectively exist. According to quantum physics, also you see things, the external phenomena appears independently. Oh. So now, all these negative emotion are based on appearances. Now the antidote of that, go deeper reality. Then nothing exists as appears. So since destructive emotion very much based on appearances, so through wisdom, then nothing exists as appears. That's the antidote of, you see, this wrong view. Exaggerated, my way.
Yes.
So wrong view. That is the basis of destructive emotion. Now, really hopeful sign is all these destructive emotions, such as anger and too much self-centered attitude, all these very much depend on appearances. So we call some kind of ignorance. So most of these destructive emotion very much related with ignorance. So the positive emotion, such as compassion, you see, not based on ignorance. So with reality, they also, like me, do not want suffering. And then naturally develop sense of concern of their well-being. There's sufficient reason, not based on ignorance. So positive emotion based on reason. Destructive emotion based on ignorance. So those emotions which based on ignorance, for temporary, sometimes very powerful, like anger. But the long run, the compassion, forgiveness, patience, these based on reason, so much powerful. So the question is, we should pay more attention. Here, I myself found analytical meditation, vipassana, is much powerful than simply meditate or shamatha, single-pointed meditation. This is not much useful. Analytical meditation, wonderful. Analytical meditation is part of wisdom. The real antidote of this destructive emotion, which is based on ignorance, is, you see, the wisdom. Analyze reality and analyze long-term sort of consequences or benefit like that. So thus, although I respect all religion, but that too much emphasis on analytical meditation is, I think, Buddhism in general, particularly Nalanda tradition, is really wonderful. I myself also some experience thinking that line. Shunyata, we call it shunyata. Nothing exists as appears. Appears something objectively exists, like that. So now time come about lunch. In order to function normally, our brain, food very important. Oh yes, now picture.